The film begins with a woman tied up in a house. She is injured, and her husband is the one who did this to her. Desperately, she begs for her life, pleading with him to come to his senses, not kill her, and let her go. Her husband, however, is on the verge of killing her. Surrounding them are the dead bodies of their daughter and others, all killed by the man himself. The wife pleads, "Someone has taken control of you. They're playing with your mind. Please come back to your senses." But the man refuses to listen. Suddenly, a book falls in front of him. His wife warns, "This is the same cursed book that has taken control of you. Don't open it, it contains pure evil." Ignoring her warnings, the man, under the book's influence, opens it. Instantly, 4 devils appear, surrounding him, and command him to kill his wife. The book shows a drawing of a girl whose neck twists violently as if she's been murdered. The man, now fully under the influence of the devils, sees his wife as one of them, with blood-red, terrifying eyes. In his panic, he slits her throat, killing her. Moments later, the man regains his senses and is overcome with grief. He cradles his wife's lifeless body and cries uncontrollably. Suddenly, the devils reappear, this time with their leader, who kills the man. It is revealed that the book allows anyone to summon the devil, who grants 3 wishes. However, the devil deceives the summoner. After fulfilling the wishes, the devil curses the summoner, forcing them to either become a devil or succumb to the curse, killing those around them. This is why the man killed his family, he was cursed. When he resisted, the devils killed him. The story then shifts to Cinderella. After her mother's death, her stepmother treats her cruelly, beating her and locking her in a room. Cinderella is forced to live like a servant, doing all the household chores. She often cries and pours her feelings into her diary. She also has 2 stepsisters who constantly mock and torment her. The older one is named Ingrid. One evening, while serving dinner, Cinderella hears a noise outside. She finds the maid of the house injured and helps her to the garden to treat her foot. They start talking, and the maid tells Cinderella, "You're such a kind soul. Why do you endure this life? They treat you horribly." Cinderella replies, "I stay here only because of my father. He's away for work, and when he returns, I'll leave this place forever." The maid's son then joins them, having stolen some bread. The 3 share the meal together. The next day, a royal family visits Cinderella's house. The prince, along with his parents, the king and queen, comes to meet Cinderella's stepsisters for a possible marriage alliance. While the king and queen interact with the sisters, the prince, uninterested, excuses himself to explore the house. While wandering, he encounters Cinderella. Instantly captivated by her beauty, he cannot take his eyes off her. He takes her hand, leads her to the garden, and confesses, "You're stunning. I've fallen in love with you at first sight and swear I'll marry you." Meanwhile, Ingrid notices them through a window. Then the prince tells Cinderella, "There will be a royal dance party at our palace, and you must come. I'll be waiting for you." Saying this, he bids her goodbye and leaves. Thinking about the prince, Cinderella feels overjoyed, believing her dreams are finally coming true. She writes about the prince in her diary, praising him with heartfelt words. However, Ingrid is upset after seeing all this. She informs her mother about the prince's fondness for Cinderella, which enrages her stepmother. In a fit of anger, the stepmother beats Cinderella and then decides to punish Cinderella's best friend, the maid. She takes the maid to a room, accusing her of encouraging Cinderella. There, the stepmother ties the maid to a table and beats her brutally with sticks. The maid screams for help, but no one comes to her aid. The stepmother escalates her violence, attacking the maid with a sharp tool until she is killed. Meanwhile, Cinderella, unaware of the incident, is sitting in the garden, writing in her diary. Ingrid comes to call her home, and when Cinderella returns, she discovers the lifeless body of the maid. Devastated, she breaks down in tears. The stepmother then forces Cinderella to hold a dagger and stab the maid's body, threatening to hurt her if she refuses. Sobbing, Cinderella reluctantly obeys. Afterward, the stepmother orders her to clean the room and place the maid's body where it belongs. This traumatic event leaves Cinderella in a state of shock, unable to speak or interact with anyone. Meanwhile, the prince meets Ingrid, as their marriage has been arranged. Ingrid, furious, confronts him, accusing him of wanting to keep a relationship with Cinderella while marrying her. The prince, being insincere, says, "I was just playing around with her. I love you. At the royal party, I'll call you to dance and announce our marriage. I'll make you my queen." On the same night, Cinderella goes to the jungle to bury the maid's remains. While digging, she finds the cursed book buried in the ground. Curious, she brings it back home. Later, during dinner, Cinderella asks her stepmother about the maid's son. The stepmother lies, saying he has returned to his hometown, though Cinderella suspects she is hiding something. Ignoring her doubts, they continue eating. As Cinderella's thoughts drift to the devil and the cursed book, she looks up from her plate and sees the devil himself sitting before her in his true, terrifying form. When Cinderella sees the devil, she screams in terror and runs away. Later, her second stepsister visits her room and hands her a pair of glass sandals, saying, "Wear these to the dance party with the prince. They're mine, but they don't fit me, so I'm giving them to you." As she leaves, she secretly steals Cinderella's diary. That night, while Cinderella is sleeping, she suddenly wakes up to a noise and sees a devil standing outside her room. Paralyzed with fear, she watches as the devil says, "I can free you from this painful life and grant you 3 wishes to change your destiny." The devil begins moving toward her, and in her terror, Cinderella screams, only to wake up and realize it was a nightmare. Her heart races, but she calms herself. Just then, Ingrid enters and tells her to get ready for the royal dance party. Cinderella gets dressed beautifully and comes out, excited to attend the party. But when Cinderella's mother sees her dressed for the party, she becomes furious and refuses to let her go. Overcome with rage, she beats Cinderella and destroys her dress. Still unsatisfied, she and her daughters leave for the party, calling Cinderella useless. Meanwhile, the maid's son was being held captive in a hidden house, something Cinderella was unaware of. Devastated, Cinderella retreats to her room and begins crying. Her eyes fall on the devil's book, and she picks it up to read. On the first page, she sees an image of a girl wearing a dress similar to her mother's. As she reads the lines that appear magically on the page, all the lights and candles in the room suddenly go out, plunging her into complete darkness. Realizing she is not alone, Cinderella cries out, "Who's there?" The same 4 devils appear, surrounding her, and their leader emerges as well. He tells her, "You summoned us through this book for help. Now that we are here, we will fulfill your 3 wishes." Though terrified, Cinderella seizes the opportunity to attend the royal party and meet the prince. For her first wish, she says, "I want to go to the royal party and dance with the prince. I need proper clothes and a carriage." The devil fulfills her wish, giving her a stunning dress, elegant makeup, and a complete transformation. She looks like a true princess, which makes her very happy. A grand carriage arrives at her doorstep. Since she had only used 2 wishes, Cinderella tells the devil, "I'll save my 3rd wish for later." When she arrives at the party, everyone is captivated by her beauty. Ingrid, who is dancing with the prince, becomes jealous upon seeing her. To set a trap, Ingrid tells Cinderella, "The prince loves you. You two should dance together." Cinderella and the prince begin dancing, and she confesses, "I love you with all my heart." But the prince cruelly turns away and says, "I could never love someone like you." Insulting her further, he drops her hand and stops the music, humiliating Cinderella in front of everyone. The prince and Ingrid begin mocking her, leaving Cinderella heartbroken and in tears. To make matters worse, her second stepsister gives the prince Cinderella's diary. The prince reads it aloud to the crowd, revealing Cinderella's heartfelt words, "I have found my true love, the prince of my dreams. He is the one I want to spend the rest of my life with." The crowd laughs, dismissing her dreams as impossible and absurd. Ingrid seizes the moment and says, "Treat her like a toy, do whatever you want with her." Encouraged by this, the crowd begins punching and mocking Cinderella. Overwhelmed with pain and anger, she finally decides to ask for her 3rd wish, revenge. The devil leader warns her, "You will get your revenge, but in the end, you will also become a devil like us. If you refuse, you will be cursed." Broken and consumed by rage, Cinderella agrees. Her transformation begins. Her eyes turn devilish, her face twists into an eerie smile, and her entire appearance becomes dark and menacing. The devil's curse takes full control of her, something they had kept hidden. Cinderella seals all the doors of the party hall and summons the devils. The massacre begins. Driven by revenge, she kills people mercilessly, even using her glass shoes as weapons. She stabs the heels into necks and stomachs, leaving everyone in panic. Terrified, the guests try to escape, but the doors won't open. Fueled by rage, Cinderella kills her stepmother and stepfather in front of the prince. As the doors finally open, people rush out in chaos. Ingrid and the prince hide in another room, while Cinderella's second stepsister tries to sneak away silently. But Cinderella spots her and summons the devils to capture her. Remembering how her stepsister had stolen her diary and mocked her, Cinderella takes scissors and brutally cuts off her toes to fit the glass shoes properly. Her stepsister screams in agony, but Cinderella kills her with another shoe, leaving her drenched in blood. The prince and Ingrid, hearing the screams, are paralyzed with fear. In a desperate attempt to save himself, the prince betrays Ingrid by making noise to lure Cinderella toward her. Cinderella finds Ingrid, smashes her face with the shoe, and kills her. Then she hunts down the prince, who is hiding upstairs. The prince tries to manipulate her, saying, "It wasn't my fault. It was all Ingrid's plan. I love you," but Cinderella sees through his lies. Without hesitation, she throws him onto the bed, where the devils descend upon him and tear him apart. Now, only her stepmother remains. As she tries to escape, she taunts Cinderella, confessing, "I killed your father." Enraged beyond control, Cinderella burns her alive, sending her to hell. With everyone dead, the devil leader confronts Cinderella. "Now you must join us and become one of us," he declares. Cinderella, however, refuses to bow, saying, "If I must become like you, I will. But I will never be your slave." She then kills the devil leader with her shoe, shocking the other devils, who kneel before her and accept her as their new leader. Now the queen of the devils, Cinderella walks away, followed by the rest of them. With this, the story ends.